The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic will change how Canadians vote in next month's federal election. We may find ourselves voting in unusual places, and millions are expected to opt for mail-in ballots. Natasha Gauthier is a spokesperson for Elections Canada. She's in Ottawa. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to jump right in by asking, what can Canadians expect to be different when they go and vote in person this year?
So Mr. Perot was right. This will be a little bit of a different election compared to past events. But what Canadians will be seeing at the polls is very similar to what they've been seeing at other locations across the country when they go grocery shopping, when they go to the drugstore. So all of our workers will be wearing masks. Masking will be mandatory for all poll workers, all Election Canada workers. You will see hand sanitizers available at the polls. Physical distancing will be in place at the polls. We will have masks. I'm sure you've seen the stats of how we've ordered millions and millions of masks. So we will have masks on hand for any elector who may have forgotten their mask and would like one. Plexiglass barriers to protect in between our poll workers and electors. You might be voting in a different location from where you voted in the past as well. And that's because our returning officers are trying to find locations that will allow for more physical distancing between electors and between poll workers. When you go up, that last person who does your check strikes your name from the list before they hand you your ballot to go vote. Normally you go up to the table, there's two people sitting there. This time there'll be one person sitting there. So these are some of the things that voters can expect to see. And those are all there to make the experience as safe as possible for voters and also for our poll workers.
Now, what are these poll workers going to do if a voter shows up and doesn't want to follow the public health measures, like doesn't want to wear a mask?
So there's different things that poll workers can do. So first of all, we certainly encourage everyone to wear a mask and to be masked indoors. That being said, so masks will not be mandatory for voters. But if someone cannot wear a mask, we certainly encourage them to explore other ways to vote. There's a variety of ways you can vote by mail. You can vote request a mail-in ballot, for example, and then you don't need to worry about wearing a mask or not in a polling location. That would be one example. But certainly from what we've seen, with other provincial elections, with our own federal by-elections that happened in the Toronto area, right in the middle of wave 2 back in the fall, is that the vast majority of electors do comply with the masking regulations. But we are always in communication with the local public health agencies at the provincial, territorial, regional level to take their best advice, and we do apply the local provincial regulations are in place at the polls.
Now, there could be a significant increase in people who choose to vote by mail. What does that mean when it comes down to when we could get results? Should Canadians brace for the results to be ready later than we typically see?
I would say yes. Certainly, we are managing expectations. The reason is that not only are we expecting an increase in the number of people who choose to vote by mail, but that we are applying all of the necessary verification, the checks, the controls to make sure that, for example, there are no cases of double voting, that someone didn't send in a mail-in ballot and also try to vote in person at the polls. So the returning officers need to compare, the different lists that they have before they even start counting the ballots. Those are steps that need to happen. And so we're building in about 24 hours to let returning officers after election night do those checks before they start counting those mail-in ballots. And so that's why we're telling people, look, we may not have results in ridings where there's a high volume of mail-in ballots. Those results might take a couple of days to come in. That being said, all other types of ballots, so the regular ballots that are, that people cast at the polls in person, whether at advanced polling or polling night, and other types of mail-in ballots. So for example, those sent in by Canadians living abroad, those will all be counted on election night, and those results will be posted on election night as they always have been, as usual. And people can check in their riding. We will have on our website kind of rolling counters, similar to what you've been seeing for the vaccine counters on public health websites, where you can check how far along are they in counting these mail-in ballots in my riding. It'll give you the rolling percentage, and that'll be updated, 2 or 3 times a day. And so people can keep tabs on where the results are in particular ridings.
Now, last year in the United States, there was a lot of doubt sown about the integrity of the mail-in voting system by former President Donald Trump. I want to be very clear to say he cast that doubt without any evidence to back up the claims of widespread mail-in voter fraud. In Canada, no political leaders are doing that. But are you concerned that given how closely Canadians have followed the U.S. election and all of the doubt that was cast around that there could be concerns raised by Canadians about the integrity of the voting system here?
Certainly, we're ready to address any concerns. And what we say is, if someone has questions or they're curious about how we count ballots, come and work for us. We're looking for 250,000 people to work this election. So come and work for us. Come help count the ballots. You'll see how they're all counted by hand. Our ballots are all marked by hand and counted by hand in front of witnesses, candidate representatives. We will have party representatives as well at our central counting location here in Ottawa to witness the count. So yes, that's what we say. If anyone has a concern or a doubt, take a day, take an evening, and come work for us and see how we do it. And that's why we're happy to go on the media outlets like yours and explain all these verification checks and the amount of care and caution that goes into counting the ballots to make sure that the integrity of the process is maintained.
We have less than 1 minute left, but I just want to ask you really quickly, are you seeing disinformation campaigns? What's gone on in the United States is very different than what's going on here, but have you seen anything that's been a concern for you?
I would say nothing of significant concern yet. I mean, obviously, we do keep tabs. We do monitor sort of the conversations that are happening on social media, and we're always ready to jump in with the correct information. And again, what I would say to your listeners is, if you see something online and you're not sure, is it true? Is it not true? Go to our website, elections.ca. That is the source of the accurate information, the correct information, the trustworthy information.
All right. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Katie.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.